And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and one of my favorite games that came out a couple years ago was Lockup. Lockup is set in a role-player universe, which is kind of a generic fantasy universe, but it's a game about you have a gang of kobolds or goblins or some other low-down race in the fantasy world, and you've been imprisoned, you're trying to get the reward from the king by being the, most successful prisoners. Either way, it's a fun worker placement game. And so now there's an expansion for it, Lockup Breakout. You're going into the dungeons, trying to escape or find treasure down there. A little small expansion that's easily added to the base game. Here's how it plays. Okay, let's talk about what this adds. There's this little board here, which is a dungeon, and you just place it below the board because, hey, it's a dungeon. Each player is going to get one of these pieces, a lantern, placed in the entrance to the dungeon. So you'll notice that this dungeon kind of follows a path. There's a few spots where the path splits. You can see here you can go through this spot and go through this spot. When you're moving this to go through this spot, you have to pay a blue cube, any cube to go in here. And you can get to the end going to the tomb, or you can go all the way to escaped. So the way the game is going to work is as you're moving through this, at the end of the game, wherever you land is going to be how many points you get. If you get to the tomb, you stop at 15. You can get 17 if you get to escape, plus you get 3 points for each round that's left in the game. So you might want to do that. When you move into a room with these treasure chests, you're going to reveal them and pick one of them. It might be points, it might be, get an item or get rid of some corruption, whatever it might be. Some pretty simple things, but again, the first person to go there will have the most choices as you go through each of these. So the question is, how do you go through the dungeon? At the beginning of the game, you're going to take one of these and put these in the different rooms that are in the game. And then you're going to flip them over. And some of them are going to have tunnels in them, and some of them are going to have double tunnels. So in this case, we have 3 single tunnels and a double tunnel there. The rest of these are removed from the game. And with fewer players, you'll actually use more of these. There will be fewer tunnels. And so the way this works is each player now has a new piece in the game. And so this new piece here can be placed just like every other piece in the game. It adds 1 to your strength there, but also if you've played this tile with the lantern, the seeker tile, and you have more strength than anyone else who's also played a seeker tile, so if you're the only one, you're fine, you're going to get to move 1 space on this dungeon board down below for a single tunnel and 2 spaces for the double one. That's it. Now, but you have an extra character, which means you're going to have 1 more character than before, but you're still playing the same amount of characters as you've done. There's a spot down here for legend cards. You're going to turn over this legend card at the beginning of a round. And when a player has only 1 character left, they're going to throw that character on this card here. And so as you're putting your leftover character in the card, the strongest strength of a character that's placed there is going to get some sort of bonus. So for example, the strongest crew here can discard a goon to score 5 points. The weakest crew must discard a goon or a cube. Now they're not always going to do something for the weakest, but they always give the strongest person something. The strongest person can reserve an item at no cost or craft 1 reserved item. The strongest crew may give 1 corruption to up to 2 other crews. In order to strength rank, each crew may spend 1 cube to score 5, 3, 2, or 2 points. And there's a lot of these. So 1 of these will be out each round. And so your leftover thing goes there, and then player turn order will determine who wins ties like everywhere else. And then there's just a bunch of other cards that are going to add to this. The Automata cards will add in. There are endgame scoring cards, like be the first person to get 2 of those loot tokens from the dungeon. Be the first person to have an item with a cost of 4 resources. Doesn't use anything new, but these just add some more stuff into the thing. There's traits that are going to, maybe this one here, for example, gives you 1 start on your lantern here. This Ruthless also gives you a start moving down through the dungeons. There's going to be some more magic cards. Here, when you resolve the legend card at the end of the round, determine the winner of all ties. Well, that's kind of convenient. And then we have some more things that you can build, and some of them give you the reward of moving your lantern there. The biggest change here is the number of goons, and this just adds some more goons to the mix. So you have fungoids, which give you 2 for each of the loot tokens that you've gotten. The shapeshifter, discard it, draw 3, and keep 1. I like that one a lot. This one gives you a point for each barrel that you have, and the golem counts as a dwarf or a rat man when scoring. I really like that one. So this adds some more diversity to the goon deck. This is a pretty small expansion, and I mean that in a physical way too. The board here folds in half, and you'll be able to put everything into a bag or store it in the main box very easily. And in fact, I taught this game to some people who haven't played Lockup before with the expansion, and it wasn't that hard to do. The new tokens are great. When I was looking at the different legend cards in here, I actually recognized a lot of these characters from Role Player Adventures. I was like, oh, it's Giblix, I know who that is. So that's kind of, their universe, expanding the universe. These tokens are a little small, but the symbols on them are not particularly difficult. They're very similar to the original one. And the rule book that comes with this, so you have a little small rule book here. It explains everything pretty quickly because it's not that complicated. It talks about the new goon cards and then has a couple pages about solitaire mode. So all in all, the components for this are fine and easily put into your base game. This is a solid little expansion, Lockup Breakout. I would hesitate to call it necessary, right? But what it does is if you played Lockup a lot, which I have, this adds some nice diversity to it. It gives you one more thing to think about. Some of the locations, you're like, well, that location, normally I don't care about the blue cubes, but there's a tunnel there. And going as far down a tunnel as you can is a viable strategy. If everybody's doing it, you might say, you know what, I don't care about the tunnel, and I'm going to work on just building the items and getting the different people, the different goons that you're adding. That might be more of a thing, and so it kind of feels like there's different things to go for with that tunnel. The legend, I think, is what makes the game. It effectively adds another spot to the board. And so your leftover, whatever token you have left, that's where that token goes. And I like that concept because you're leaving it to the very end, it goes there, and now whoever has the most there is going to get some sort of special bonus, which could be pretty awesome, and whoever's the lowest there could possibly have something negative happen to them. So you might save your 5 to go there, but then you're not putting it in the other spots on the board. That's nice, that's simple. And then there's just more traits, there's more stuff, there's more items to build, more diversity in the game. Like I said, if you own Lockup, you can just throw this right in. You can teach it to people who've never played before, and it's going to flow very smoothly. There's a new mechanism about moving the stuff down with the lanterns, but it's not that complex to add to the game. If you like Lockup and you want a little bit more, it's worth getting and adding. I do enjoy this a lot, so there you go. That's Lockup Breakout. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. Dice Tower judgment approved!